Alrighty, we are live and good to go. Mr. J. Alexander Martin, it is a pleasure to be able to see you. We spoke a little bit on Clubhouse. We met, talked. Some folks may know a little bit of your work, but I really wanted to just do some honor to have a conversation and talk about an interesting thing we all sort of have in common here. Some notable things that I wanted to highlight. You're the author of Building an Empire. You are the co-founder and VP of Forest Bias Clothing, FUBU, as many may know, and also the CEO of Forest Bias Network. We're going to do a deep dive into that. But before all those things became something, you were also a service member. You served and were also in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, U.S. Navy. A little fun fact that some folks may not know.
Yes, definitely correct. Yeah, you know, it's funny. When we first started FUBU, you know, people didn't really give that much credence to, you know, people in the military. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, great, whoopee, you know, and it goes in and out. I think now it's definitely something that is not necessarily frowned upon, but elated about, you know, now just that, you know, and it's, you know, I hear a lot of times people say, hey, you know, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Sometimes I haven't heard it, you know, until now. I'm like, I don't even know what to say sometimes. I'm like, okay, thank you. You know, it's like
how to respond to that.
Right. I'm New Yorker, so, you know, we're hard, you know. So it's like, what do you mean hello?
Yeah.
What do you mean how you doing? You know.
Wait, exactly. Well, let me ask you this: what part of New York?
It's like culture shock. You know?
Oh, exactly. So, what part of New York are you from?
I'm from originally from Queens, New York.
Okay.
With Hollis, Queens. I lived on the borderline between Farmers, what they call St. Albans. It's really called St. Albans now, but before it was between Farmers and Hollis. I used to kind of go back and forth. You know, one week I'm, you know, from Hollis, next week I'm from Farmers, and
I know exactly.
It was good. It was good.
I'm from East New York. Right.
Okay, you from East New York.
I'm from East New York, Brooklyn, right there coming into Queens.
Right, so you know how it goes. You know, from Brooklyn, you're from Brooklyn, but what part of Brooklyn?
East New York. Oh, exactly. Those are some key things. Right. I talked to Life Griffith. You may know him. He was doing some work out there in Hollis as well and whatnot. And he's the same thing. It's like, you're from New York? What part exactly? Right. So it's interesting to do that. But so I just wanted to say that because coming from New York, it's like, what do you mean how I'm doing? Right. That those words are not like the Southern comfort. Like, hey, what's going on, Jay? Like, hey, what you want?
Right.
So coming from New York, I think it's amazing to note that going back to the genesis, what really kind of pushed you or drove you to service during the time where maybe, like you said, right, it was not a faddish thing? Because now everybody wants to do certain things. But when you guys started doing food, when you began food, it was kind of like a niche thing. I remember because I'm from New York City, so I had the pants and the shirts and all these different things, and it was different because it was by us. But it wasn't like a famous thing. Today you see a lot of that. Rewind, same thing with service. It was not, you know, the fun thing to do in the early 90s before the Gulf War and all that. What were some of your decisions that drove you to service?
Well, I mean, you know, it was kind of one of those things, you know, in childhood growing up, you know, your father, you know, you're raised to, you know, at a certain age, you got to go.
Yes.
So it necessarily wasn't a decision made, but a decision, you know, garnered, gathered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, the answer was either going to go to school or you're going to leave. And I'm not paying for school, so obviously you can't pay for school, so you're going to have to leave. You know, and, you know, you don't necessarily go out kicking and scratching. You kind of go out, you know, into the military as like, okay, fine. What's this the next chapter of my life?
Yes.
And if you take it that way, you utilize everything that they're teaching you to grow.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, I know I run around and I try to tell people, you know, these guys that are stuck in gangs and stuff, you know, in certain situations that just are not really detrimental, that are very detrimental to, you know, to their well-being. You know, the service is not a bad idea.
Yes.
You know, one, you know, my father used to always say, you're gonna get, you know, 3 square meals a day. Yeah, that's good. You can get that in jail too. But what you're gonna get is you're gonna understand that the world's not is bigger than your block.
Mm.
You know what I mean? The world is definitely bigger than your block.
Yes.
And that goes a long way to growing as a man, you know, because, you know, when a lot of people go in, they go in rather young. You know, you're 18, Correct. You're still not a man, you know.
You're still forming, you're still
forming your own, you know, individual, you know, likes, dislikes, you know, things of that nature. So by you going there and you meeting people from all different walks of life, and you're meeting people who, you know, from from different states. Again, the world, like I said, gets bigger. You know, You start understanding that the world's not flat. You're not going to fall off.
It's not the four corners. I know. If you're from Queens, I know that. It's like, right. You're from Arkansas. I've never met someone from Arkansas.
Right, and then you're corresponding with people and different values, and with fashion. What I took out of it by doing that was the fact that, you know, why are these people wearing this? Like they were different. Like, you know, this guy has. I have, you know, 5 pairs of Timberlands. You know, that guy may have 5 pairs of cowboy boots.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that guy may style his hair this way. And why?
Correct.
You know, versus I might style my hair another way. And when we go out to, you know, go overseas and we go places, we all come together as one. And by us all coming together as one, we start learning each other's likes and dislikes. So What I did was take all that and when I brought it back to the U.S. and music too.
Yes, but so you went Navy, because I want to make a quick point, a note there.
Okay, so I might be jumping ahead of myself. Go ahead,
no. So you were Navy, you served your time, and then from there you left service, correct?
No, I didn't have a service. No, actually, I got out on a medical discharge.
Okay.
I was in an accident and I got out on medical discharge. Then I used the GI Bill to go to school. And at the time I was going to school, I was creating the business at the same time.
Right. So now when you went to the Navy, what was the field that you were going to go into? Your field?
Oh, so my field, well, my rank, or not my rank, but my rate was radioman.
Okay.
We called it, right. So radioman. So I didn't finish. I did about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Like I said, got out of medical discharge. I was in the Gulf War. And so I served, so I get that part of it.
And that's the part that I really want to hone in on, because there's a power there. And you see here, for example, so we made these shirts, and they're called U.S. Army. We have U.S. Navy, and it might not cut the mustard, but I served, I trained, I conquered, right?
Right.
And just to give you so what we're doing is it's kind of breaking the stigma, right? I have a disability, but I'm still here. I'm disabled, but not enabled. And we're doing a drive to where we buy one and we're giving one away to a homeless veteran. But the reason I'm saying this, so we're doing kind of we buy one, give one type of thing. So it's, hey, but the other ones are going to say U.S. service member because you don't know who it may be. The reason I'm saying this is you went in for one specific job. In your mind, you were going to serve who knows how long. The fact is, what happened. I mentioned the disabled part because medically it was a block, it was a stop, but you were able to reinvent yourself. And one of the things I want to just ask you immediately is, how did you mentally work through that? Because Jay, you don't understand, if I could call you that for a second.
Yeah, please.
My hands. I made my living with my hands. Now I can't do that anymore. You don't understand, I was a radio man. I was infantry. But you said I switched and went into fashion. And the fact of the matter is that maybe physically sometimes we can't do one thing, but you were able to reinvent yourself. And I think that's a powerful point to bring out, because there's someone right now listening to this that's saying, DPJ, you guys don't understand. My entire career, I was a radio man. I was a medic. And now I can't feel my hands or I can't do certain things. What am I supposed to do? And you went and took your benefits and reinvented yourself and went into fashion. But I guess the key point there for me is you were able to kind of work around a setback that, for sadly many, they don't see that ability. What was part of your process in going from this is over to I'm going to reinvent myself and I'm going to go down this path that today we understand what it is, but before the accident, you could have done 20 years. You never know which way life would have gone.
Right. Well, I always tell people there's certain things that a military background gives you, and what the thing that stands out more so than anything is the paying attention to detail.
Yes.
That one thing made me pay attention to my detail, to who I am and what I'm good at. And once I figured out what I was good at, because I paid attention to myself, then I was able to turn into a business.
And you did share that before when we first talked, because I said, what is one of the key benefits or things you took away? Because you know how it is. Like, look, what's that going to do with this stuff? This is a tangible thing.
They always say, like, I learned this, and like, how, there's not going to be a radio man in what I'm going to turn around and come out and be a disc jockey. Like, no, but I homed in on what I liked and what I wanted to do and what I had affinity for. Yes. I mean, I used to have 5-6 lockers on the ship, hiding around all over, because I would go every time we went to port. I bought a bunch of clothes.
Mm-hmm. So you was a cat with about 3 seed bags, 4 seed bags coming out, like,
yes,
Martin.
Yes, exactly. So you just took that and you said, wow, like we're going out and I'm looking around, I'm looking at the people and what they're wearing and how they're wearing it and why they're wearing it. Trying to figure out why they're wearing it and looking at the culture and all that stuff. And I took all of that and brought it back to, so when I design, I look and I say, I know what a lot of people want.
So wait a second.
I've seen a lot.
I got to stop you, Jay. You said something key there. So you're traveling around, the Navy life, you know how it is, ports, travel. Right. But as you're serving, I'm picking up that you're observing. As you're serving, you were observing the world. That became part of your process into I know what people want. Because again, I traveled, but what's that going to serve me? There's 2 things that just happened. We're talking now, literally the attention to detail, but another salient point is understanding the world. What is world culture giving me? I have the ability to see things, and I just wanted to highlight that because that may go over somebody's head, but you literally took those experiences, those views, those observations, and literally took it to business.
Right. No, definitely. And that's what you have to do. Like everything's done for a reason. Everything happened for a reason. There's a divine right and all that, and that's all good. But if you don't utilize it, people say, you can do it. Yeah, you can. If you apply yourself, if you work, it's not just going to magically happen. If you look at the signs, you look at the situations and utilize the things that you have. Like, the problem I think too is a lot of times what a lot of people do is if you're looking at someone else's progress, or you're looking at someone else's business or this thing, and you're not looking at yourself, you're living someone else's life, someone else's dream. Live your dream. So again, we had the luxury of being able to serve our country.
Yes,
we had the tenacity to because again, when we were on the ship or we were on the deployments, or we were like, if something happens, people die. That's a lot of responsibility.
Can I ask you a quick question on there?
Well, let me finish my point. I'm going to say is if you can take on that, you can take on anything. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. I literally that same thing. Because I'm pretty sure even because again at lower levels, people might at the levels you worked on, I'm pretty sure you probably have said that same thing. Did somebody die? Yeah. Is somebody dying? Because if nobody's died, the problem is not that big. And again, someone might say that
that's another way to look at it. Yes. But I guess in my context, what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people get out of the military and they get clueless.
Yes.
Because it's like, that's not what I did then. How do I translate that?
Yes.
But sometimes it's not about how you translate it. It's about seeing your inner you and what you can do. And you start telling yourself, well, I can't do it. I don't know. How do I? It's almost like getting out. Sometimes you could almost mirror it to getting out of jail and being institutionalized. Because at that point, you're like, now what do I do? I've been doing this all my life or for nothing but years and teaching me, and not necessarily brainwashing, but helping my brain.
Yes.
See, it's how you look at things. And people don't if you look at things in a certain way, you get different results.
Yes.
If you look at the same way that everybody else result that they got, but let's get the result that you need to get.
Yes.
So like I said, I got out of the military and I'm like, okay, what did I like to do? I took those. It may not necessarily be those skills, but it may be the way I utilize those skills that turns me into this mega business owner.
Yes. So, and it's a key point you said there. I think it's another valid business point. But come on now, ain't nobody gonna give me nothing. I'm owed something. I should be given something. Come on, I did. And again, as veterans, sometimes that tends to be a thing. Like, there's no handouts. In the real world, you got to get yours. And I think I want to stress that point.
But we did get them something.
Yes.
We did get something. We got free travel.
Yes.
And what you did with that, right? It's what you do with it. If you look at it, we've got free healthcare. Now we are great, right? And even if we had an ailment, take care of.
Yes.
Right? We got to save, because a lot of times we don't have to spend as much money as an average person.
Very true.
Right? And let's not go on deployment, because you got hazard pay.
Come on.
Right? You know, and I'm talking about little things. You know what I mean? Like little things. We got the perspective of the world.
Correct.
That few people would even never know, because they could only go to, 2 hours outside of their state, to the next state. The only thing they know about another state is if somebody visited them. You follow me? So when you start looking at the small things and you start adding those up, they start to become really big.
But the power that I just love is that you took that and you ran with it and you made something of it forward. Because to that same point, we're walking out the door with very similar experiences and skill sets. The difference is you began to find ways to apply that. And I think it's not just talk, right? Like you said, it's not just, hey, believe in yourself, do something. Like, no, you went granular and actually applied those skills.
Apply those, because you're taught something. And a lot of us, and I'm not claiming that everyone does it, but you can't take advantage of time. Meaning, you take advantage of time by utilizing it, but you can't take advantage of it, because time is always going to keep existing. Time is always going to keep going. So what did you do in that time that you can utilize for the next time?
Would you say you move with intention?
Move with intention. Exactly.
And I think it's a powerful point, because what I really want folks to really get from this, it's tactical things that are being said. The skills are in many of us, but it's, again, if someone were to ask you right now, I just don't see, I don't have anything to offer. You don't get it. I did my time. I may have some scars and bruises. What am I going to do? And literally, this is a story showing not just hyperbole, but even to the highest levels, where you have someone who has risen to high levels in business and is saying attention to detail made the difference. My question to you is, when you look at the executives that you work with, contemporaries or competitors, would you attribute some of your success and ability to be agile and do things in business to the military compared to other companies maybe, or other folks that you may have been competing against?
Yes, too, because one, it teaches you structure. Right? So if the structure is your business mind, right? And the other part is more of your creative. Now that you're not going to get in the military, right? Because everything is
by the numbers.
Right? But now most people are creative in somewhat, right? And that's the first thing that you're going to do, is think creative. But most people are in business. So what I was able to do is be able to be both. Because I got the structure and from the military combined with my talent as being creative, and I was able to do both.
Wow.
To where most people are Ivy League, go to school, they're corporate, but they can't come up with anything.
There's a powerful piece there.
It's balance.
And thank you, because I want to honor what you said, and I'll be when this airs, it's Black History Month. As minorities, as men, it's hard to be open and true to oneself. You don't understand, man. I'm supposed to be tough. Creativity. Come on, man. Nobody got time for that. Being true to yourself, to the fact that you can have that, and there are individuals that may be fighting or holding things back needlessly that don't need to be held back. And I think it's something key to bring out, where you took your creativity, you didn't mask it or put it away, You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You over there with that stuff. Get on with that noise. I'm going to go over here and do this simple thing that correlates. It's like, no, I'm going to go a different path. I'm going to marry up these skills. I'm going to take that creative thing. I'm going to take that talent that I have and try to put it together. And you didn't know, I'm pretty sure in the beginning, you didn't know which way it would go, but you began the journey that today has led to what we see. And that, for some, can be a similar process that can lead them somewhere. And I think it's so powerful to share that.
Well, think about it. Like 9 times out of 10, when you're in the military, you will have some type of leadership role.
Yes.
And then when you get out, you don't forget about that. A lot of people forget about it. They forget that, yes, I'm a leader. Yes, I can lead others. Yes, I can take a task and follow it through to the end.
Yes.
It's the same thing. There's no magic button that you press
to make it happen.
To make it happen, it's the same fundamentals that's just been distilled in you and trained in you and pushed in you and driven.
Yes.
If it's from on a battlefield to walking down the street to Main Street, it's the same thing. Business is business is business is business. I always tell people it's not the fashion. It's not called the fashion. It's called the fashion business. And people in the military conduct business very well. That's what they teach us.
Yes.
They teach us business, basic structure. And so you're not doing anything different.
Correct. And I think
it's just you got better teachers.
And real world experiences that can be brought in. So I know someone watching this may be in corporate America or they're doing something. You don't understand. I keep getting passed up. I'm not in a leadership role, because what you said, I think, is powerful for those that are doing something, but you don't understand. I keep getting passed up. I don't get a shot. Nobody's going to give me a thing. I'm not in leadership. What would you say to someone who's trying to work their way up, but may not be tapping into that specific power? Because you worked your way up, not overnight. You have all these things, right. And I'm sure opportunities you had to sometimes kick a door through or find another way. Can you talk a little bit about that for someone who may be going through the corporate ladder, but maybe their opportunities are not there, a glass ceiling, missed opportunities? What would you say to that person who said this might be the end of the road? I tried, but I'm stuck.
Well, there's two things. There's two things. I got a bunch of experiments, or not even just experiments, but practices that I tell a lot of people. I'm always consulting. And I consult a lot of startups and small businesses. I tell someone, go outside and get a rock. Find a rock, nicest rock you can find. Whatever. It could be round, it could be whatever. Right? Come back in the house, apartment, wherever you live. Turn off all your devices. Turn off the TV, turn off the radio, your phone, the microwave, everything. And sit there with that rock. And create a business around that rock. And entertain yourself about that rock. Understand that rock. Think about that rock. One, now that what's that doing is drawing into your mind and building your business mind. It's educating. It's like you work out. It's working out your business brain. Once you did that and you turn a rock into a multi-billion-dollar business in your head. You keep doing that, you keep doing that, you keep doing that. Then you'll get the confidence, because a lot of times you come out with no confidence because, to be honest, sometimes the military could be a crutch to you. Because you don't really have to sometimes do that much. For your doing what the hell I say, excuse my French.
Yeah. Oh.
You get A, you get B, right. You get C.
Toop.
Right. Fine. Which is great, but it's like a bird. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to feed you and feed you and feed the little bird until now you got to go fly. Now it's time for you to go fly. Your instincts got to kick in. Just like when you're on the battlefield, your instincts got to kick in. Your adrenaline got to go. It's the same thought.
I love that comparison because it's the same thing. So using that same point, you and I are part of a team. We've been doing these maneuvers. The tactics and the fundamentals are the same. But in the real world, those are tools that we have to use. But if we can't go left, we're going to pivot, and I'm going to give you the sign, and we're going to move as needed. And that is no different than the things you're talking about where, okay, you have the fundamentals, you have the skills and tactics, but that technique needs to be agile to move. Because, rhetorical question, how many no's did you get along the way after service as you began to go into business?
Right. And again, here's another rhetorical statement for that. I look at everything like a slingshot. Not everything, but business.
Yes.
Right? The further you pull it back, it gets harder and harder, right? It's harder and harder. All of those are obstacles. All of those are problems. All those are things, right? But after you learn all those things, again, you can't cheat work and knows who's working. So after you learn all those things, and that slingshot lets go, think about how far you're going to go. If you look at the problem as a problem and not look at it as a solution, you're always going to be feeling like you got a problem. Because if you look at it as a solution, you go, okay, I know not to go down that block again. I know not to do that answer is wrong.
Yes. It's like they say, an aircraft doesn't fly unless it has a little resistance, a little friction.
Yeah.
So, and I think, I love being able to use this as an example because for some, it's like, okay, you're just talking. Like, no, this is real world reality.
No, real
This is
world.
what you've literally done. And I just want to go right back to the rock because many folks may have an idea, but there's something you said before the rock, which was turn off the phone, turn off this, eliminate the noise, and just sit in the reality of what it is you're trying to do. This is my rock. This is off. This is off. Right now, I have got to get intentional with my focus so that I can then execute. And I thought that was a great example that I just wanted to highlight because the noise that you turned off before you said, look at the rock, that is it's a powerful statement for some out there that just, you can't be creative. You can't do anything because there's too much noise going on.
Right.
Powerful.
No, 100%.
I want to take a quick second and jump to some of your sites so folks know where to find more information about you. And then we'll come back here looking specifically at how folks can find information from you atjalexandermartin.com. This is the main site that you have. It has the books, speaking engagements, and things that you're doing, as well as consulting that is available for those here, and all the work that you've done. People may know some of the things you've done, but there's so much more that you have going on. So I wanted to really just come here and highlight some of that, to include again the support that you have, the books that you've written, specifically building an empire. Again, this is not just talk. You put the blueprint of what you did to get there. So this is a highlight or an excerpt of what is available for those that may seek that. And here we see this as well and other things and business ventures that you are involved in.
Yes, no, definitely. It's funny I'm looking at the Great Wax Black Museum in Baltimore. I wax figures of us.
Wow.
I think mine and Damon and I's were probably the best ones. My partner Keith over there, not so much.
not so much. This is amazing. For those that are on social, I also wanted to bring up that you can be found as well here on Instagram as well as AF Ash and Mind. You can follow here the information and some of the work that you're doing. Again, your link is here. To include the network, which I want to go to. Some folks may know FUBU.com as a clothing apparel line, but there are other things that you ventured into, to include forusbias.com, the For Us By Us network. which you are CEO of and you run as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about the network and kind of what?
No, it was originally FUBU, but we found that FUBU was a great name, but for us buyers is basically the name of it. It transitioned and it reached out to more people because again, I didn't want to close it off into just African American only. I wanted to be multicultural and go out to everyone. It's basically FUBU, for television, or that means television, but entertainment, concepts, sports, reality, the works, all sorts of mediums, all sorts of genres, I should say, that kind of give everyone the depiction or make people understand what we go through, why we go through it, and to be able just to understand us. Yeah. Because if you don't understand a situation, you really can't relate to a situation. Some people don't care to even understand it, but this is a place where you can actually understand and look and watch and understand the culture.
And then you have here also as well,jalexanderconsultinggov.com. Tell us a little bit about some of this initiative and work that you're doing on this front as well.
Well, when COVID hit, a lot of people figure out how do you pivot. Again, like we were talking, I dove back into my military background, and I wound up becoming what they call SAM and be able to sell to the government PPE and things of that nature. Not even just PPE, but apparel, uniforms, things like that. And I kind of wanted to give back because actually the military, by me going in the military and getting out of the military the way I did, I took that money and that's how we started FUBU.
Wow.
That was this, so, $6,000 of that, went and helped start FUBU. So this is a kind of a way I can give back by helping others. I even said help because it's more of a consulting company in which, like I said, I sell PPE, I sell, all sorts of stuff, or I'll take other institutions, like VA or then just the VA contracts in which we'll find whatever they need.
Yes. And I think, and again, I love you sharing those points because there's so many nuggets that I'm picking up as soon as you drop them, where it's like literally there's a lot of folks that left the military. What happened, $6,000 in my name. What do I do with this now? You shut the phone off, you looked at your rock, and you began the process of building what today we understand and know to be FUBU, right, apparel, and all the other business ventures that you have. But you took what you had and you made some moves intentionally with it. And I think that's a real life story to be able to share that for the
and honestly, every person that gets out of the military should go be SAM, what they call SAM. And because you already, and you don't have to be a business that's registered with SAM. That way you can sell to the government.
Yes.
And I think every business should do that because you sold yourself to the government. You might as well get something out of it.
Hello. No, and that's a powerful. And again, if you, like many things in life, the powerful piece of you saying this for someone, hopefully, it's if I can see you did it, then I can. This is not a Google search. Like we're having a conversation, and this is literally saying, look, no, I took this. I went to school, the same benefit you got, same jab bill you got.
I didn't have anything different.
Yeah, and you ain't had no rich uncle? You ain't had no silver spoon to come?
Nope. No rich uncle, no nothing.
And again, it's tongue in cheek.
I did hard work and bubble gum.
but it's so powerful.
A lot of bubble gum.
A lot of it. But I love the fact that but in so many ways, the artistic side is one piece. But I just love the fact that it's, again, showing, especially coming again into some of the folks that we see here. You see in the bottom, we have it scrolling. If you serve, comment where you see this, your branch of service, and the time you served. And the reason those are the only two questions that I ask is because I don't care about your rank or your job. It's not about doing this anymore. The fact is you served. We're veterans. You did your time, and we want to honor that, but let's start mobilizing. And part of what, one-on-one is, this is literally having a deep dive with one of our brothers, one of our sisters who has been there and has done something, right? This is, no pun intended, but it's for us, by us. This is an interactive conversation where this is a conversation I wish I would have seen coming out of service so many years ago. So I endeavored to say, I'm going to go ahead and put it together.
I love what you're saying, because you know, I'm in the advertising world, you know, somewhat through Forest Bias Network, and I reached out to advertising agencies that have the account for the military, and I pitched to them, but actually I didn't pitch to the right person because they didn't obviously didn't really work out. But I pitched to them, let me be a spokesperson for the military. Now, I understand if you're doing something to keep people, get people to go to the military, but there has to be something where it's when you get out.
Yes.
That spokesperson, because if you'll get more people actually thinking about even going in if you tell them they have a reason, something to look forward to when they come out.
Yes.
You know, but a lot of times I know a lot of the military guys, once you're out, you're out. And it's like, okay, hi, see ya.
Now what? That's it. That's all she wrote. Thanks. Have a good day.
You know, thanks. Glad for your service. Okay, great. You know, and there needs to be that group. Yeah. Or, I mean, they just straight advertising. Yeah. Because what if they did a campaign? And again, I've been trying to find the right group to lead me to it, or a person. There has to be somebody. Because there's a lot of other people that have done great things that were actual veterans.
Yes.
And I know I'm probably one of the most notable. I remember what's his name from that they called him the Admiral. He played on Spurs.
Yeah.
Look at his name right now.
I don't recall
his name, but Greg, there's a lot of notable people, you know, and I wanted to you know, and I would do it for, you know, PSA. Mm-hmm. You know, we could do a PSA, you know, and get out there and let people know that you could do it. You know, you could do other things once you get out. And the military, and then that people would be like, well, they were going for 3 years, but at least they would serve.
Correct.
Because they know that what they're doing is they're serving, right? Now they're getting out, and now they're going to go start A, B, and C if they kind of see somebody else doing it.
David Robinson.
You know, there wouldn't be much. Yeah, Nate Robinson. Yeah, not Nate Robinson.
David Robinson.
David Robinson. Correct. Right. So I just thought it's the easiest thing, is just sitting right there, but everybody, I just can't get to the right person. You know.
And I hope that, you know, wherever this is seen. I'm just I'm still a kid from Brooklyn that has moved out of Brooklyn, and we have the ability to have these conversations. And one thing I will share with folks is, you know, even this, how did this even happen? There was an opportunity, and I acted on it. I said, would you mind having a conversation? Sometimes, literally, we have to get out of our heads and just make the move and literally reach out. And sometimes you will manifest and start moving into motion things. Like, you know what? I don't see a show doing this, so I'm going to have this. I created another one on mental health for Sound Off. We're bringing people in to talk. And guess what? It's just on Facebook and Instagram, but we're doing something that tomorrow may be something. This is our little rock. And I think literally if we start to put our rocks together, you eventually start to build boulders and mountains, and you can do more. And I think, you know, again, no pun intended, but it's for us and it's by us. It's us saying, this is us having a conversation, because there are organizations out there doing things for the military, but it's one way only. It's a comedy thing to me, or this is a real conversation with real folks, and people can identify to that, because we've been sold so much stuff that's just Hollywood up. And sometimes we just want something real and raw that's just like, okay, this is a real conversation between two veterans who just happen in the world to be other things. But now here they are. And I think this is something that, you know, I just wanted to double down and appreciate you for taking your time and really even having this conversation, because I know someone can be impacted. It's inspirational to some, from service to co-founding a international brand that folks know about. You know, you wore the pants, you know, the shirt, you know, the clothing line. You may have seen the shows, you know, with the folk. Like, I get that. But before all of that, you put your pants on just like I put my pants on, and you held on to your rock and you did something with it, which means that maybe I can do the same thing too.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, you can do it if you do it.
Yes.
And a lot of people are enamored by again, I always like to say the shiny object. They're enamored by the thought of doing something. And that's it.
Where's the action?
Go in your house and throw away your damn microwave. Because that's what you're thinking. You're thinking you're just going to put it in the microwave and it's going to get done in 2 seconds.
Yes.
No. Use your oven.
You said that slow cook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use your oven. Same way.
How many years did it take you from the minute you began the process of putting together FUBU to when it actually began to take traction?
It took us about 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years to really get going.
And then, again, because today, I just started last week. I'm not popping. I'm not going viral.
Right.
Put the work in.
But see, again, when you see, social media is it can be a detriment to a lot of thinking. Like I said, the microwave is a detriment to a lot of thinking because it's like, oh, it can get done like that. And you start seeing that all the way. You see that everywhere, and you start thinking, well, that's me too. Or you see the result, and that's all you think as it is.
Yes.
The result. You don't care about how you got to that result. You're just going to go, I'm going to take your result and I'm going to move on from there. But now you're sitting there doing what you think you know what you're doing, but you're not. And then you kind of figure out why it's not going anywhere because you don't know the business.
Yes.
Or you haven't even tapped into your own psyche to figure out your own limitations, right? And yes, there are limitations if you don't work on it. If you don't work, can't cheat work and know who's working. That's where your limitations are, because your limitations are because you're not working.
Yes.
You're not working on what you're trying to do. Now, of course, you could talk about the mama want to sing syndrome. I call it. Right. Everybody sounds great in the shower until it's time to get on stage. Everybody sounds great in the shower until it's time to get in the studio. But then in the studio, I could always help you with the with electronics. But then now you got to go on stage and make it happen and sing. Unless you can only lip sing for so long. So somebody says, "Well, he ain't singing something."
That's going to be a no-go for us. Next.
Yeah, and then the ad lib. How you gonna ad lib?
And I think
and
there's something that I think you said earlier as well that I wanted to kind of bring back, which is lessons learned. The market, I've always said, especially when it comes to marketing, the market is the market is the market. Like, you don't understand, they're gonna love it. Nope. How many launches, how many lines, how many products and SKUs did you push out that was gonna be the ones?
That's that. And the thing about the military, right, teaches you just not look at the freaking the BS.
Yeah.
Ain't no time for BS. There's no maybe when you go out and you on leave, okay, fine, you can go but then when you got to get right back to serious business.
Correct.
Same thing with life, same thing with business.
Yes. Looking at where you're at today, if you could go back, what would be one lesson you would look back and say that was, because everybody wants to say, tell me your successes. What's one of the failures or lessons, right? Because that's really what it comes down to, right? It's not a setback, or it's a lesson. What's one of the lessons that you learned along the way that if you can go back and say, hey, this is a lesson that you might want to learn, or somebody out there who maybe is looking at a situation and not know how to unlock it, would you say for you is one of the points in your life looking back at your trajectory for service?
Well, again, like you said, I don't look at it as a problem. I think I look at everything. I think I look more at the principles than the lessons, because everything's a lesson, either good or bad.
Yes.
So I can't take out one of those and make it better than the other, because it's all added up. If we're playing baseball and somebody hits a base hit, we need two runs, and the next person comes up and hit a home run. We won.
Right.
But if that guy didn't hit that base hit, it's hit, and your home run better.
Yes.
The same thing.
I love it because it goes back to the first thing you said, which was mindset. Ultimately, it's how you're looking at things in the introspective side. You weren't trying to look at somebody else's journey. You made your journey your journey. As we start to wrap up and honor your time, one of the things I always want folks to kind of walk away with is that one, I guess, a nugget that you would give. Again, you dropped a whole bunch of them. So, literally they can go back and pick up a whole bunch of them. So I'm not going to say that you have.
I tend to do that.
No. This is what it's about. But, as we wrap up, I always want to say, like, if there's someone out there who, again, maybe looking and, again, this is inspiring to them, I want to make sure that, you really pay attention and watch again what we're talking about, because there's so many things I've tried to call out, because it's like, no, pay attention to the piece. Right? Look at the rock, remove the noise, the perspective. You saw the world, you took things in, you applied that to business. Those are the salient principles that are part of the success. So those are the things that to me stand out. But I want to, again, reiterate it, because for someone else, it might have just gone over their head. And I really just love to be able to extract that, because I think that it's a powerful point of view with real results, not just, well, I wish I could and maybe it'll happen. No, this is how it's happening in the real world as you're sharing with us.
Well, I can give you one phrase, and I'm gonna be crazy with it. You can do it if you do it. You get it? You can do it, yeah. But if you do it, if you do the work, it's not gonna just happen. Not gonna just magically appear because I'm out and like you said, woe is me, and it should happen. It's not gonna happen unless you work.
Yes.
And that time, maybe 3 years, maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, right? One, you have to know, and that's why I always tell people to know who they are. Know who you are. Why do you need to know who you are? Because you have to know what is going to work for you. If you're living somebody else's lie, by thinking somebody else's idea, and then you wonder why it's not working, it's not going to work.
Right.
Because you got to do your own idea. You got to use your own blessing.
Yes. I love that. There's nothing I can add to that or ask of that. I love the fact you can do it, ... if you do it. Belief, action, creativity, dedication and values, action. I would love one day to have an interview with the VP co-founder of FUBU, until the action doesn't happen, and say, before you leave, real quick, can I interview you? Again, I can want and wish all day, and I'm just sharing this as a point of saying the common denominator a lot of times is action. Because guess what? Like the saying goes, you're going to miss every single shot you never shoot. If you don't take a shot, it's not going to do anything. Can you shoot? Right. If you shoot it.
But then to add to that, if you shoot it and you miss, now you know that's not your spot. When you shoot it and you get it in, that's your spot.
No, there's so many applicable points to that, finding that sweet spot, but you don't find that if you just stop there. Oh man, the game is over. That's 4 quarters. What are you talking about? The clock's still ticking. I get it. We had a setback, but we're still here. We still can. So I can either make a point to see the clock run down, do nothing, or take some action. So I think those are amazing points. Like I said, in honoring your time, I really just want to thank you for having this conversation. I hope it's not the last of, it's the first, but hopefully not the last, because I think there's so many areas and conversations and points that can be shared with our demographic, with our veterans, as far as seeing this is one of us. J. Alexander Martin is one of us. And you might see him out there, and you might see the accolades, and you might see the brand and all the things that are around it. But before all that, one of us. And I think it gives us hope to say that you could do it, but you did it and made action to that. A setback, medical, but you took creativity, you took the skills you learned, and you pushed. A disability doesn't mean you're unable. A medical setback doesn't mean you can't do something. The mindset shift that you took to continue to put it all together.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with your time. I'm blessed to have known you, to have spoken to
Thank you.
I definitely think that this is helpful to many that we have out here today, regardless of what may be happening in the world. You could do it if you do it. Powerful.
That's that.
J. Alexander Martin, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, my brother. We'll end it here. Those share this, watch this. We'll be back again for another one-on-one, from service to co-founding FUBU and doing amazing things in the world. One of us.